but we were also law students, which is to say we were broke. We had to figure out a way to get to Selma for the least amount of money. And that idea devolved on Greg Badrod's car, which we had. And so we decided to drive all night, avoiding a hotel stay, and to go on to cheat. Well, we left about 11 o'clock at night, and I think we drove straight through for about 14 hours. We came prepared with the story we concocted in case we were stopped by state troopers, which indeed we were, about being on our way to Selma for a spring break. It didn't work. We were okay. The guy said, y'all have fun now, yeah? So, we were in our street clothes, our travel clothes, which were pretty grungy. And the idea was to show the support of people who were law students, and we were supposed to be dressed like law students, which is to say in our suits and ties. So we brought those with us, and we had to figure out a way to make the change. And so I suggested that we go to the parish house in Montgomery, and we did. And I was the one sent to knock on the door, and I did. And this somewhat dilapidated screen door opened. There was a Catholic priest, apparently a votary of Bishop Tulin, because his first words to me were, "What are you boys doing here?" And I said, "Well, Father, we're here to march with Dr. King to Montgomery." And he said, "Now, don't you boys have any problems in St. Louis?" I said, "Well, yes, we do." He said, "Good. Go solve them." So we were sort of at ends about how to change. We were driving down this two-lane highway, and we spotted a sign that said, it was a motel. It said, "Trucker's Nap, $2. Well, it didn't take us long to figure out what the objective of that particular venue was. And we decided that if the four of us each pulled 50 cents, we could afford the $2 to get the change and clean up. So we did. And we then made our way and joined the march. But I've always been amused to think that we were rejected at the parish house and taken into the house of little In any case, we were finally directed to the group, and we did indeed form a phalanx around some of the sisters. That was part of our stated purpose. The other purpose was, of course, to show that the Catholic Church supported in a broad way the efforts of Selma and the objective of the march. And it was an unforgettable experience, and I won't bore you with further narrative about various anecdotes, but there were some good ones. I think the question you might be asking is, how did this affect you going forward? What did you come away with from that march in Selma? And I will tell you that I was, of course, finishing law school and planned to practice. I had no grandiose ideas that I would be elevated to the Supreme Court, so I didn't think that I'd probably have any impact on civil rights in that regard. So I said, what can I do that is effective and has an impact in a positive way on disadvantaged minorities? And I decided that the best thing I could do would be to incorporate elements of public service or public interest law into my private practice. And so I started on that almost immediately after I came back from the military, and I would represent people who didn't have the money to retain my services. And then that took on a more formal aspect, as my friend Dan Rodman will remember, when I agreed in collaboration with Legal Services of Eastern Missouri to start a clinic for the homeless veterans down at St. Patrick's Center. And I did that, and it was very successful. It became a reputable